Next, tragedy strikes, accidents happen. Be there when the calls come in. It's back-to-back episodes of Rescue 911. Next on Discovery Health Channel.
This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911, disaster strikes.
I'm bleeding myself, but I can't do anything about it. I gotta worry about my family.
A hurricane threatens a family member.
Is that really breathing?
Now, with rescuers trapped by the storm,
couldn't even get out of the building.
they must fend for themselves.
The worst was yet to come.
Then,
When the roof of Lorraine Ayoub's house caved in, her invalid Aunt Lillian was buried in the rubble. But with power down all over Charleston and Hurricane Hugo's tremendous winds relentlessly pounding the city, rescue workers were not even allowed to go out. They could do nothing to help.
My father-in-law, he dug sort of a tunnel so he could reach down and check her vitals, and he was touching her neck.
Her eyes were blinking. It was a fairly rapid pulse. I just hollered at Robert. I said, Robert, she's alive. Let's get her out. She's alive.
What is your aunt's condition? How is she right now?
Critical right now.
Okay.
I don't even know if she's gonna make it. No, sir, she's not conscious.
All right.
Aunt Lillian's pre-existing illness meant that she could not survive more than a few hours without extra oxygen.
Her room is falling in, is what she's saying. The stuff is falling in on her.
We took her out already. Her room fell. I thought she was dead.
Is she sitting up in bed?
No, she can't sit up. She has to lay flat.
Lay flat. Good. Okay,
Right.
That's what we want her to do. We also want to keep her still. We don't want to try to hurt her no more than we have to.
Okay, I'm trying.
Okay.
She's scared too, I think.
Is she conscious now?
I think she is. No, I don't know. Her eyes are in the back of her head right now.
Well,
I can't tell you.
all right.
This was a nightmare. I just knew that her aunt needed emergency medical treatment right then.
All right. Well, is she breathing?
Is that Lillian breathing? Yes, she's breathing.
Okay. All right.
Oh, my God. All the winds in my house. I don't have a ceiling.
Okay. Well, what I want you to do is get somebody to find the oxygen tank, and we're going to put her on some oxygen.
Okay.
Do you have somebody there that can go find the tank for you?
Yeah, wait a minute.
My husband and my son-in-law were going through all the stuff trying to find oxygen. The EMS guy kept me on the phone. He kept saying, just be calm. It felt good to talk to him because he had a lot of confidence in what he was saying, which made me feel more confident.
Okay, my husband's got the oxygen out.
Okay. What I need him to do is hook it up. What is her recommended dose?
She's usually around 2 or 3 liters.
2 or 3 liters?
Right.
All right, go ahead and put her on 4 liters. Okay?
Put her on 4 liters.
But the oxygen tank would not work.
They're trying to get somebody over here, but they can't do it because it's so bad out there.
Need to be calm, all right?
Okay. What's going to happen with my house? What are we going to do?
I don't know. We'll worry about that later, okay?
I'm worried about my babies, and I'm bleeding myself, but I can't do anything about it.
Okay.
But I can't worry about me right now. I got to worry about my family.
Well, we're going to...
I looked at Billy Hudson's head, and he was bleeding all over the place, so I checked him out. And in his head, he had a pretty good-sized piece of plaster just sort of lodged in the side of his head. After I had finished with Billy Hudson and my father-in-law had finished with Aunt Lillian, we both proceeded to go upstairs and investigate the damage. At the time, we still didn't realize what had hit us.
Robin and myself were both amazed. We just saw a big hole at the top of the stairs where the upstairs used to be. When I got up the stairs, I saw just pieces of metal everywhere. Still couldn't figure out how did they build a house with large pieces of metal in it.
The wall to the kids' room was pushed back. There was a large metal pipe in Ricky's bed. There was a large light fixture in Michael's bed. If the kids had been in there, they wouldn't have made it.
When we continue,
I didn't think we were going to make it through this. The children asked me, Mommy, are we going to die?
Tonight at 7.
We're going to get you taken care of. Open your eyes and talk to me.
Ride the razor's edge between life and death with the people who walk it every day. Trauma, life in the ER. Tonight at 7 Eastern on Discovery Health Channel.
Tonight, remarkable true accounts of people who survived deadly injuries. Don't miss back-to-back episodes that will make you gasp on the hit series Cheating Death. Tonight on Discovery Health Channel.
What hit us? The tower God, the highway department tower is what hit us.
Hugo's tremendous winds had blown a nearly 300-foot radio tower down onto the house, crushing the roof in and leaving them exposed to the storm.
I thought it looked very grim. Just from what she was giving me on the phone, I didn't know if she could wait.
Okay. In a couple of minutes, it's getting ready to get real calm. Okay? You know where Helm Avenue is?
I knew from the information that was coming in that I was getting ready to pass over Charleston.
In the car. Aunt Lily and everybody go to the Helm Avenue EMS station. You know where that is?
Yes.
He told me that as soon as the calm came over, for all of us to evacuate.
After the eye passes and it gets calm, and then the next storm that comes up, is it going to be as bad as it is now?
Yes. You should have enough time to get from your house to Helm Avenue.
Okay, I'll try.
That is a safe place, and y'all don't need to be in that house.
Okay.
We'll call them and tell them that you're going to be coming.
Okay.
Y'all just be careful, okay? All right?
Thank you for talking me through this.
All right, man.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I didn't think we were going to make it through this. My children asked me, Mommy, are we going to die? I said, well, whatever it was, we're still alive. Maybe the good Lord's going to let us go the rest of the way. And the whole time I wasn't sure because the walls were rattling. Everything was moving. I mean, the house was really moving. And all I could do was say, please let us get through this.
As the eye of the hurricane approached, the winds gradually died down, but the streets were full of debris.
I climbed through the tower to get my van. The tower just missed my van by 1 inch. It was 1 inch behind my van.
They knew they could not make it to the EMS station during the brief eye of the hurricane. So they decided to go instead to Kenny's mother's house, a block away. But there were too many people to take in one trip.
As they were leaving, I realized that 2 of our friends came inland and stayed in the apartment behind Billy's house, and that was right underneath the tower.
Kenny went to check on his friends. Robert returned for Kenny and Aunt Lillian.
I came back for the second trip, and just as Kenny was getting into the van, the wind really started picking up violently.
From what EMS told us and all past experience of hurricanes, backside of hurricane is the strongest because it's that sudden force of wind that comes back and it's going in the opposite direction. The worst was yet to come.
Even as we left and got around the corner to Miss Harris's house, when I got inside and I saw all the cracks in the roof, I said, oh my God, this one could cave in next.
The backside of the hurricane hit, and still the Ayub family had not shown up at the EMS station. The rescue workers were worried.
When the call came in reference to a tower falling on the house, it was just frustrating that you wanted to help somebody, but you couldn't even get out of the building. We were told kind of to stay around and wait till the official word came to go out. But the longer we sat around, the more frustrated we got.
Several hours later, when the winds began to die down, paramedics Jimmy Wagstaff and Bob Shoemate finally got permission to go look for the Ayub family and Aunt Lillian.
We didn't have any address. All we knew was the road, but we figured it wouldn't be hard to find a tower laying across the house.
We met with another crew who was going down to the scene to see if they could find the house.
Both staff cars ended up at the house at about the same time. We noticed the tower laying across several houses. Since me and Bob Shoemate were the only ones with protective gear, we searched the houses. The other 2 paramedics that were there stayed outside in case we got trapped, they could send for help.
The storm started lightening up. As it eased up more, we kept noticing car lights going by the large picture window at my mom's house. And I said, well, let's see what's out there, because we're going to have to get Lillian to the hospital. She can't keep going like this.
All of a sudden, the man come running out of a house with a flashlight. In the back of our mind, we were thinking, this is probably the old lady we're searching for.
We didn't do our normal procedures because we didn't have any equipment to work with. We scooped her up and put her in the back of the car and made our way toward Navy Hospital.
I was never so happy to see anyone in my whole life as I was to see those 2 guys from EMS. And I started to cry because that was the first sight of help we had.
The 2 paramedics drove Aunt Lillian to the nearest hospital. Even before dawn, help began arriving for the devastated city of Charleston.
At daylight, we all went outside, and it was like another world. It was not our home after, living here all our lives. That wasn't our home. This wasn't our street. It looked like a war zone. We went back to look at our house, and we saw this tower just on the house, through the children's bedroom, through my Aunt Lillian's room. To me, the shock was knowing that that was my kids' room, and knowing that, thank God they weren't there, because it was right through their beds.
It was a tremendous shock. I'd have to say that I got really depressed, but I'm grateful that I have such a wonderful family that I depend on, and that they depend on me, because it gives me purpose.
3 buildings were damaged by the tower. Neighbor Billy Hudson's house across the street was also crushed. But the Ayub family has refused to give up. Demolition has already begun to make way for a new house.
We're going to rebuild that house back, and we're going to go back to that house, and we're going to pick up where we were before the hurricane.
It picks up every day. Things get a little better. And in fact, right after the hurricane, I was telling people, yeah, it's getting a nickel better a day. And I'd say right now we're up to maybe $1 better a day.
2.5 weeks later, Aunt Lillian was released from the hospital and returned home.
My Aunt Lillian just about raised me. I'm happy to take care of her because I love her. I'm all that she has, and I don't mind the responsibility at all. We lost everything. We lost our home, our clothes, everything that we own, we've lost. But we didn't lose each other. We're all grateful to just be alive, no matter what else has happened. And I think we've gotten even closer since Hurricane Hugo.
We all should take first aid and CPR courses every year. By learning basic life-saving techniques, we might be able to save the life of someone we love. This series is dedicated to all the men and women who answer our calls for help and are there when we need them most. I'm William Shatner. Join us again next week for more true stories on Rescue 911.
Next, step inside the command center where the calls for help are answered and meet the real-life heroes who save lives. Stay tuned for another episode of Rescue 911, next on Discovery Health Channel. Real life, medicine, miracles.
Mr. Shapiro, step out of the car, please.